Welcome to Our Energy Matters with Anthony Manna and Dena Marie. Good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon here on the East Coast. Dena Marie, how are you today? Glad to see you.
We had a productive morning, didn't we?
Yes, we did. We met on your radio show, Lift Your Spirits. And I was so happy to be there. That's 11:50 a.m. KKNW, Lift Your Spirits. So, and you had a musician first, and then you brought me on, and we went over the questions related to chakras, which are so illuminating to me, because you say, are you here? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? And then I read the prescriptions for people who are answering those questions, maybe negatively or positively, really. Are they on the right track? Are they doing things like treating themselves kindly, reaching out to others? We went through each chakra from the root to the crown. And it's always very exciting to me because I'm becoming familiar with them the more I gather in. And also with the blockages, which I should show. Here's a good shot of your book, Our Energy Matters, The Art of Crystal Reading, Learn how to manifest your heartfelt intentions. And if you go to the back, you get the chakra cheat sheet. And there we go. So you go from earth, which is root, up to, I hope it's heaven up there, which is the crown chakra, and we went through each of these. And this is very illuminating here because on the other side of the page, you have the blockages, which always mean a lot to me because I think it clarifies where I'm at a particular time in my life.
Well, and too, how we've learned through time how they get blocked. And we're born, I think, at ease. It's over time that we learn to stifle our expression or close our hearts or disconnect with other people.
Precisely. And that's why there's so much healing going on in your book. And I want to say to everyone before we begin, Guten Tag, greetings to our German listeners and viewers on this frosty February day here in the East Coast in Ohio. My title is Crystal Chakra Astrological Relationship Readings. Woo! Well, that's what I found. And I start by saying the word catechism. Does that word ring a nostalgic bell in any of you, in me? Do you hear the word and recall good memories or bad? A few days ago, quite suddenly, with no warning at all, while I was treading my way through Our Energy Matters, The Art of Crystal Reading, Learn how to Manifest Your Heartfelt Intentions, which is Dena Marie's book of soul-searching, often mystical wonders, the word cataclysm raced me smack dab back to my Roman Catholic boyhood and vivid memories of religious instruction with the call and response style of catechism interpretation of dogma, ritual, ordinance, and commandment. That blue paperback dog-eared booklet remained my my moral compass through boyhood and beyond, guiding me to a life of, supposedly to a life of righteousness. But why did the catechism experience wend its way into my old guy consciousness like a lightning flash when passing through the spiritually occult content of Dena Marie's, that's Lady Grace's, manifesto? I rushed off to my online dictionary and experienced a glorious moment of mental solace and soulful comfort. So revealed my faithful word bank. A cataclysm is a series of fixed questions, answers, or precepts used for instruction in other situations. Ah, I said, indeed. Our Energy Matters, The Art of Crystal Hearing, has morphed into my supportive, illuminated, grace-given catechism of, questions, answers, precepts, and instruction, anointed by Lady Grace's burnished declarations of keys to living an enriched life. Her book is where I go to verse myself in the language of the soul, to manifest an empowered practice of building resilience and endurance in matters of daily living within myself, with myself, and others. It's where Lady Grace's gold-gilded questions, directives, and precepts help me and other seekers find peace, make wise decisions, and live with compassion and empathy for folks within reach and those folks beyond outer banks of our solitary restlessness. There's more. Schooled as she is in the wisdom of search and find resolution, purpose, and intention, she beckons seekers to fathom the rhythm of often bewildering yet character and soul, spirit, mind building of relationships. A challenge of endurance, vulnerability, survival, and joyful reckoning. She draws on her knowledge of crystal reading, chakra wisdom, and astrological revelations to explore the heart-to-heart, mind-to-mind, soul-to-soul union of two people in love, wavering through it, or on their pressured way, or I should say presumed way, out of it. She calls it coupling therapy, bringing two energies together for optimal flow, being on the same page as the couple, she says, and working toward a common vision allows us to easily manifest our dreams together. And so that's where I come to you, Dena Marie, and I say, can you demonstrate this, or at least describe to us what you mean by coupling therapy? I found it, I almost skipped over it because I looked at it, I go, well, that doesn't have anything to do with me. Oh, yes, it does. And I mean, the way you work through it in your demonstration of how it works and how it can enhance a relationship or hinder the growth of a relationship is very powerful.
I just remember where I came up with coupling therapy is because I usually do readings, relationship readings side by side. And I ask the couples to go write where the two can't see what the other person's writing, what they'd like to manifest in the next how many years together. And a few of them were really wanting to have a child until you saw one person, the husband maybe, or the wife, who actually had different intentions. She didn't really want to have a child. So I call it coupling therapy, that they had to get on the same page, right? As a couple. And so that's what we do, is that. And I really learned this through my husband, my ex-husband, who helped me edit the book and such, but he was a super heady Aries. His numerology is 1, which I say he came here to learn how to be in a family, to learn to be a couple, because he's always been a warrior, getting the job done, maybe taking out a village. We used to talk about that. And so that's where he came from. And so I came from this nurturing mother, love, let's have fun, lots of friends. And I remember when we did our readings together, he was so opposite. Then he lived in his head, I lived in my heart. And he started coming to my office and we started doing sessions. And he started healing his childhood, and he started doing inner work, and he did Reiki circles with us. And I started a business, and I, I'm like that normally, but when I be with a man, I become more feminine. So I lost, the ability to have my root chakra and my solar plexus, because he was doing all that for me. So I balanced my chakras, and then he softened his heart. And I remember him saying, because he was horribly abused as a child, when he came to me, he got to heal that. And I remember him saying, I don't think I've ever felt joy. That he used to say that all the time. I've never felt joy. And it was very painful for him to open his heart. But then he became a lovely father. My kids, we were doing really fine. But there was, through the years, some stress came in. He was trying to get his PhD, and he quit doing his homework. He quit showing up for our circles. He quit doing the hands-on healing. He quit hanging out with us and the kids. And it didn't take him but 2 years to actually have like an anxiety attack, kind of, his heart was attacked, right? Because he couldn't maintain that close-heartedness being around us, but he wasn't practicing. And it sounds kind of weird, but you have to practice. Our chakras are like instruments, and we have to tune them up. And when you're with other people, your energy affects. So we started not wanting to be with him because he had that anger. It was coming back in his solar plexus. So we would always go to a different room. At the end of our relationship, we really repelled each other because our energy just no longer fit well. So I became super sensitive and feminine and cried a lot, and he was super angry. We quit doing our homework. Then we got divorced.
Yeah. I knew I was waiting for you to come to that point, that it was in a way inseparable. And the homework, but when you're dealing with coupling therapy, when you have two people who are, let me say it this way, there are healthy people in healthy relationships coming to you. And so what do you do there?
They usually just, oh gosh, there's a couple in my book. They just sat down. They had separate intentions. We made intentions together. This couple did their homework. He quit his job so he could spend time with her because he was working at night. Everything they wrote down in a matter of a year. They got married. They moved to Australia because he quit his job and started selling cars. When they went to Australia, this guy was a hardcore salesman in Australia. I guess it's all laid back. He just quit his job after, making lots of money selling cars. But if he wouldn't have quit the job so that he could spend more time with his wife, at the time they were not married, but they are now. It was just, all they had to do was get on the same page, to have the same goals, the same intentions, because they loved each other. They were just doing this, actually scattering their energy to the wind. So I've seen couples who also just aren't doing well and they break up. Their chakras, it'd be so much work because they're so different. And they're attracted to each other for other reasons. I could believe it could be karma, past lives, they're learning lessons, but it is nice to be a whole person. So that's why it's important I do my homework, you do your homework, and then we come together as whole people instead of, they call it your other half. That's true in a lot of relationships.
Yeah, I can understand that. And I think that that it's very, relationships are, you're in a vulnerable situation. You're challenged. There's loving kindness often, but still, it's almost like every once in a while we need to go and find how we are getting on as a couple, and kind of like an inventory of where we are and what we want to do. Right now, my partner and I are considering a future locale, and for the fact that we're aging and that the energy that this place takes with 8 acres of woods and lots of gardens is beginning to feel a little overwhelming, but in a beautiful way. Let me put it that way, because it's not negative. We're not looking at this place negatively. It's absolutely beautiful. And so, we're enhanced by it, but at the same time, it's becoming demanding, much more demanding than our energy allows. So, boy, we go back and forth with where, the world is, where do we go, and just the idea of trying to reconcile those differences in a sense of what we both want is challenging.
And you don't want to say where specifically you want to go, but you want to sit down with one another and just paint a beautiful picture, because you're both artistic, and say, what are the things you want to be around other people? Do you want to have your own space? Do you want to have a community place where you gather? Do you want to be somewhere where the sun shines a lot? or someplace where it snows once or twice a year, or, you can paint a picture of what it is that you want. And that's more important than saying, I want to move to Florida next year. You know,
Yeah.
you say, I want to move somewhere where we find a place that's a home, that we have a small garden, it's easy to take care of, simplified, and we're around other people that you want to be around. Do you want to be around a whole bunch of people, or do you want to be, that's important too. I love solitude. There's a certain part at night, I love the silence.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
don't like the sound of cars. So I wouldn't say that, but I would say quiet at night, or the sound of birds in the morning.
Yeah, this is so wise. Thank you, because that's the kind of inventory that I think is, doable. And even even writing it down. I mean, or separated from each other, and then writing it down. What we envision, where we are. I know one thing that I said was I want to be around water in some way, and we both agreed about that, in some way.
You should move by me. I wrote green spaces, access to beaches and water. I said community, a small place, where people still could say hi and know everybody. And it took me, gosh, about 3 weeks. And it was like being a pin the tail on the donkey. You had no idea that when I landed there, it was like, wow, okay, this is better than I could have imagined, And it was honestly, when my kids are little, it's the place I wanted to move my children. I wanted to uproot them to the place I live now, but I thought it'd be best to keep them in the same school. Yeah. Because I was afraid of change. Darn it.
No, that's a big issue. Change is can either be dramatic, traumatic, or easy in a way. If we make it easy, and put our mind to the living a kind of in trusting ourselves.
Yeah, and trusting the universe, because it's unknown. And sometimes when my intuition tells me to do something, I'm confused because this doesn't look like it's working out right. And then as some time passes, you're like, it's perfect. It's perfect. We were talking about trust this morning, trusting the universe, trusting ourselves, and then having those relationships built on trust around us. That's a beautiful place to be. That's our foundation.
Yeah. And when there's trust there, it's a very solid foundation, where you can explore so many different aspects of yourself in a trusting relationship.
And you said it too, to check in. We did our homework and it was great. And when we both got too frustrated and we decided to pull away from one another, things just, I call it Chernobyl. It Chernobyl, He thought that was funny, would say that, but, it just fell apart. And so it's really important. And I stress this is, sit down with your partner once a year, and we used to put it on the refrigerator, our common goals, our coupling therapy. And then I had my private intentions, what I wanted to create. But to be on the same page with your partner is so important to manifest, heaven on earth here.
That's true. And you say that in your book, that expression is very powerful, heaven on earth, and then it's like a kind of God or goddess, if you want to put it that way, consciousness that allows us to trust ourselves and the person and another person.
And you and I have been working on healing ourselves. And of course, that makes us a whole person. So our relationships are going to get better. When we get better, our relationships get better. It's in my book that when I healed my heart, my children lost weight. They were healthier. They were happier. So it's like we do change our outer world by changing our inner world.
Perfect. Wonderful. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good place for us to end, I think, because that's when you talk about inner world, outer world coming together, and supporting one another in that, that's a beautiful way to go.
Yay.
Yeah, yay, absolutely. And so in your book, it is coupling therapy. And I always urge people to go there. I mean, that's where I go, and that's where each week I come up with my my writing, wherever it takes me. But it's it's limbering up in a sense, to the beauty of it all. And in this case, it was the beauty of relationships, of what they can be.
I love that.
Yeah, if all of you out there want to get closer to Dena Marie's wisdom, then listen to her weekly Friday radio show, Lift Your Spirits, on 1150 AM KKNW. But go to her website dena-marie.com, and it's very entertaining, but also very illuminating, and also, because you see, the kind of outreach that you do, Dena Marie, to help people heal themselves is just very, very reassuring. My website is Anthony Manna, that's MANNA, AnthonyMannaBooks.com, for my interview with Dena Marie and a lot of other interviews there. So, and if you go to my website's media section and the Podbean podcast, that's where you'll find her. And I also invite people into my website because a lot of it has to do with children and tweens and teens and their literature and their they're finding themselves through really good books is sometimes what I'm about. So
Tune up your higher chakras.
yeah, wonderful. Why
Reading.
not? Yeah, right. And reading and keep looking up, right?
Keep looking up.
Keep looking up. Thanks a lot, Dena Marie. Have
Aloha.
Aloha, yes. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
We'll be back soon. Bye.